Columbus is a small town in the Midwest that has a population of 50,000. It may be small, but its architecture sets it apart, even making headlines for the 2017 movie called Columbus, in which it highlights the town's architecture. We spoke to Richard McCoy and Britt Brewer to dive deeper into what makes this small town special.
My name is Britton Brewer. I'm on the faculty at the J. Irwin Miller Architecture Program, which is part of the Eskenazi School of Art, Architecture and Design at Indiana University.
My name is Richard McCoy, and I am the Executive Director of Landmark Columbus Foundation.
Interestingly, as with most architecture, it doesn't start with the architect, it starts with the client. The first client here was a congregation, and that congregation, First Christian, was in a position where they had outgrown the 19th century sanctuary that they had for their congregation. And they had the property and the support from their congregation to try and build a new structure in the 1950s, when J. Irwin Miller realized that in order to attract the executives that he needed to work at the Cummins Corporation, where he needed to get to work with the community and do the things that would make the community better. And that's essentially how it all started.
Richard and Britt go more in depth on what makes this architecture so memorable and how it brings us together.
Columbus's theme to its architecture has to be around sort of solving problems. Whereas people think that it's a really cool place with cool architecture, it's also just a lot of really interesting buildings and architecture that were all really thoughtfully designed and built to solve a specific problem. How do you make a great park? How do you make a great library? How do you make a great city hall? How do you make a great school? And so the theme is really kind of practical. It's how do you build excellence?
By default, architecture brings people together. And the question is whether it's designed in a sensitive way to be responsive to the needs of the community and the citizens that makes it successful or not. And also, of course, very simply, is it beautiful? As one architect or one designer from the 19th century said, have nothing in your home that is neither useful and beautiful. I would say the same for buildings in your community. They should be useful and beautiful and bring us together.
It's hard not to go in front of the Library Plaza and think that's not a super cool place. It's got an awesome piece of public art. It's got a great library. It's right in the middle of a street. There's houses nearby. There's that church with the giant tower. It's just a really cool space. I think that, I don't know if it's my favorite spot, but it's always good. It always makes me feel good to go through it.
I hate to pick favorites, but I will because you've asked. I think it's the Commons. The Irwin Sweeney Miller Foundation rebuilt a new Commons around the structure of the existing Commons, and even preserved a sculpture which is there, Chaos One, by the Swiss architect Jean Tinguely.
Get involved. Architecture is also not static. It may feel static, but it changes. If you don't invest in it, if you don't get involved with it, it can go away. If places matter to you, invest in them, get involved with them. I don't mean invest in just money, listen, participate in them. Go to them and tell people you like them.
Exhibit Columbus is a great way to get involved with the architecture downtown. This event happens in August and happens every 2 years. This is Bryn Stewart and Chloe Lavelle reporting for BNN.